One of the most annoying things while doing visual effects inside of Blender is when you're using your background images, the viewport is going to be very slow. To solve this issue, I made an add-on that will turn your viewport back to real time with a couple of clicks. Come with me and let's learn together. If at any point in this video you want to check out this add-on, I'll have a link down in the description down below. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump into it.
Okay, first things first, let's go ahead and install the add-on. It's super simple. All you're going to do is you're going to follow the link down in the description down below. It'll have a download link for this zip file. We're going to drag and drop this zip file into Blender, hit OK. Then if we come up to Edit Preferences to Add-ons, if you type in VFX, you should see all of my different assets and add-ons I actually have. So the GeoTracker HDR Matcher Pro, as well as the better background images that we're talking about today. So make sure all of those are checked, and we'll go ahead and save the preferences. Now, very important, we need to make sure we have a camera into the view. So you want to select your camera into the scene, go to the camera data properties, and this is where the add-on actually lives. You can drag and drop it depending on where you actually want it into the kind of file structure. I like to put it right here. And then as you can see, we need to do one more step, and that is to actually install FFmpeg. This is to do with licensing and stuff. Unfortunately, I can't package it together with the add-on, but you can download it yourself on your own machine. So I have a link right here. We're going to click that link, and then I'll open up this page right here. And then in this page, we're going to go to the release builds, just download the latest zip file for the essentials. So that is going to be 8.1 for me, but it should be the same exact process for you. And then in the downloads folder, or wherever you're downloading that, you're going to go ahead and right click and extract this and extract it wherever you want. I highly recommend you put it in a more kind of final destination, but I'm just going to keep it right here just for demonstration purposes. And next we need to go ahead and set the path manually. And so we're going to click that and just go to downloads. We're going to select the folder inside of that, and then we're going to go to bin and the ffmpeg.exe. That's the one that we're wanting to select. We're going to hit accept right here, and when you have it successfully installed, you should see a little check right here to tell you that it's ready. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that you need to do to install the add-on. Now let's go ahead and check out how to use it. Okay, so here is an example scene that I have set up inside of Blender. I basically just have my camera tracked, and I'm ready to go ahead and drag and drop my background images in. Now, the design of this add-on is that literally you won't have to touch the background images ever again. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add our image and just upload this MOV file. MOVs are kind of the worst case scenario, especially when you're doing an ACES transform. And so this is kind of a good example of what we would be running into is look how laggy this is. And keep in mind, I do have a 5090 and a really good RAM and CPU combo. So it's not really that being an issue. It's just that Blender is very bad when it comes to H.264 support. And so that is what this add-on strives to achieve, is to make that a little bit better. So first of all, the color space, you do want to make sure you get the proper color space. It's typically going to be either these sRGBs or this sRGB down here. Now, it's highly dependent on your own color management workflow, but in the render properties, I am working in ACES 2.0 for the view, and then my file and sequencer is in ACES CG. So if you are working in an ACES format, you will have to set your proper ACES sRGB usually. I'll have a full dedicated color management video, by the way, in the description down below if you're interested. So now that we have the color space selected, there are a few settings that we can play around with. There is the opacity slider. By default, it's set to 0.5. I always put it to 1, so by default, I just made it to 1. I think that works for a lot of people. There are all these settings that you can play around with. This is very similar to the actual settings down here. So again, by design of this add-on, I want you guys to use this section instead of the actual background images. But you can, move it around the X, Y, do rotation, all that stuff. And then the most important section down here, well, there are two. We have the playback section. This is, really nice to have. I highly recommend that you use the frame dropping feature. And what that does is basically if we have it off, it plays every single frame, meaning that it lags a lot. However, that's really bad for animation because it messes around with the timing of things. Now it's like slow motion, right? So if we allow frame dropping, what that is going to do is any frames that it lags, it's actually going to skip. So you can see our timeline going a lot faster down here. Yes, it still is laggy, but for animation, we can at least see that the timing is accurate. So that's why I recommend the frame dropping feature down here. Next, and the most important thing for the add-on is the proxy section. So this is where I put in a lot of work for this add-on, and that is to actually go ahead and generate proxies proxies. Now there is a proxy generation tool inside of Blender built in, but I find it does some different things, like the color management is awful. It'll change the colors of your actual shot, and there's no easy way to navigate changing the proxies automatically and all that stuff. So this is where this section comes in. First of all, you can select where to actually place your proxies. So just select a file there. There's this auto build section, and all that'll do is when you have it on, it'll check whatever button you click down here to build the proxy. It'll just go ahead and automatically apply that. So now you can see nothing has changed up here, but we can actually see it's much smoother. And so you can check or uncheck that depending on if you want to apply your proxy after the fact. That'll just have you hit a button down here to apply it versus it automatically doing it. Anyways, now you can see our playback is super smooth. It might not be the full kind of FPS, but that's because Blender has to load in and cache the PNG sequence that we generated. So let it run through once or two times, and it should now be at full kind of your frame rate. So 24 FPS for me. Now you can see I can scrub right here, and it's super fast. I really enjoy this workflow, especially because this was a headache for me for the longest time. The most important thing that this add-on solves is the color management. So if I hit revert down here, it'll revert to the original MOV file that we had. And if I just kind of go back and forth, you can see, yes, it is a lower resolution. It's 25% of the original resolution, but the color management matches perfectly. You can see we're not going to have any issues of trying to match colors inside of Blender while using proxies, which is the biggest problem. So you can do 25, 50, 75, or 100 by default, or down here, we can have a little bit of fun with it, do a 1% custom proxy. So I'm going to apply that, and as you can see, this is amazing. Of course, you probably wouldn't want to work like this, but the option is there for you guys with lower end PCs if you do want to have that as an option. Just keep in mind, sometimes with the lower percent, it will kind of crop in a little bit. So keep that in mind, that sometimes, depending on the percent you pick, I highly recommend you pick, I guess, even numbers. I guess one that might be a little bit better. We'll go ahead and get rid of that. Go to 10% is probably what most people are going to want to build. And so that should kind of solve that issue. And now we don't have a border. So just keeping that in mind, some percents might actually crop that in a little bit. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it about this add-on. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below, as well as check it out in the link in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.